Hello and welcome once again to Rob Makes Prog. We are still working on the provisionally titled Ruminator track, and last time I deleted a load of the end because I wanted to increase the tempo of it. So I went away and re-recorded a lot of it and copied and pasted some of it. One thing that I'm going to change now before we continue is this section here, which I messed up. Basically, I pasted it in the wrong place. Yeah, so we want we're just going to chop that out there. We don't want any of that. We keep the end there, and then we want these bits, I think. Yeah, we want all of these three bits here. We're going to duplicate them, and we're going to slot them in there. We're going to move that out of the way and then back in over the top. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to do it. That's the only way I know how to move something in front of something else. Right, so now I've done that. I'm happy with that. So one thing when I've been listening to it since doing this, I managed to do this. It was very hot in here yesterday. It's also getting very hot in here today, which is why I'm doing this as early as I possibly can before it gets too hot to be in here. So I always have my dog with me, and I worry about her in the heat because she's a quite a large black furred dog, so she doesn't do well. I don't let her out in the sunshine, of course. I take her very early in the morning, about today 5:30 we went out, and I am tired. And we have a Z Machine rehearsal at 1 p.m. today, and apparently the rehearsal rooms are very hot as well, and I don't do well in the heat either. My brain shuts down and turns into what can only be described as tripe, and I cannot think or do anything. So yesterday I managed to record a lot of this stuff in, copied and pasted it because it was too hot where I could, and ended up with something that sounds pretty okay. It's good for the demo. One thing I have been finding with this, before I press play, I'm going to play you the whole song in a minute, is that the guitar parts are coming in at all sorts of different volumes, and it's very annoying. And that is one of the reasons why, when it's really important, when I go to re-record it, because I will re-record everything properly, so it's not all done in tiny little bits, and I'll learn it so we get a flow of it and we get to feel the song breathing and progressing, is I'll record every guitar part for every track in exactly the same way, as in with exactly the same input gain and everything like that, volume knobs on the guitars, everything like that, so that when it comes to mixing it and volume balancing, all I have to do is turn the track up and down. I don't have to go into the minutiae and turn individual little bits down here and there, which is what I've been having to do, and it's very irritating. So best practice thing I've discovered doing this sort of thing is get everything for every song in at the same volume. I guess it doesn't matter song between song because you mix them all slightly differently anyway, but it's good. I like to have the same starting point, and I like to have consistent sounds and tones across the record, so it doesn't matter record to record like that. I don't get that far. But yes, so that's one thing that I'm considering when it comes to re-recording these songs. So right, I'm rambling on a bit because it is already getting hot in here, and as I say, brain tripe. So let's have a listen to the whole of this song, and take note of anything. What I'm going to be doing is taking note of anything I think doesn't work and needs changing, and I'm also going to be thinking about where, if anywhere, vocals belong, because they might not belong anywhere, but there might be some places where vocals belong. Sometimes I'm a great believer in vocals, never putting vocals on for the sake of having vocals. It's only if vocals belong there, if I can think of a thing I want to say, or if the part is complemented by the vocals. Sometimes that results in songs with like 2 lines of vocals, and sometimes there's vocals over the whole thing. So we'll be listening out for that. That's the loop. The loop is on again. Oh, that loop is the bane of my life. Very useful when necessary, but when it seems to turn itself on here and there and everywhere, it gets on my nerves. Right. So that's the song so far. It's really getting there, I think. I think there's definitely bits where I'm thinking, I'm not sure, but one of those bits is this bit here. No. Part of it is the bass line just being slightly off. It's driving me nuts a bit as well. But will be sorted out in the overall thing of it. So I'm thinking, like, either we cut this whole thing out, surgically remove this whole section, or we move it till after this bit. I don't like it coming in so soon after this bit, which is kind of using that as its basis. It kind of doesn't really work. We could switch these over. Let's try that first before we go nuts and snip everything to death. So we'll select this. Hopefully this is an easy select. No, of course it isn't. Okay. There we go. There's not a lot going on there, so yeah, there's no sax or anything. So if we move all of that out of the way, we select everything to the right of the cursor, and we put everything over there. And then we select everything to the right of the cursor again. We make a gap. And then we select all of this again. We plonk it back in. And then select everything again. So I set up a little shortcut in Cubase, whereas if I press Control and Shift and then either left or right, it selects everything to that side of the cursor, and it's one of the best shortcuts I can recommend setting up. It's very, very useful. Okay, let's see what that sounds like. Oh yeah, I took the distortion off these bits as well. I just think it gave it a bit more connection to the bit beforehand. And gives it a bit more of a laid-back feel, I think. I mean, like, I'll show you the difference. This is distorted. Oh, I kind of think that's better now. Sounds more clean this way, but it sounds more... The jury's out. The jury is out on that. Let's see what happens here then. Right, because I wasn't sure of the instrumentation of this bit either, what I've done is recorded all of the instrumentation. So I have this, which is the harmony part that goes with this guitar here. So if we mute this sax part and we mute this guitar, we've got... and that's the same as at the beginning, except there's no flute part on this bit. Maybe I should add the flute part as well, just to give it that consistency. But then we've got this part as well on top of it. And so I've recorded the sax doing it, as well as this guitar. I mean, we could try it without the sax and just have that guitar doing it. It's kind of hidden behind this sax because I've pushed that into its panning territory. Let's centerize this. So, oh, and I also did this twice, didn't I? Do 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 do. What's that? That's not in the lane. That's not in the lane. Yeah. So I also did a lower version of it as well. What's going on with this? What's wrong with this bit? What's wrong with this bit? I'm very confused. I'm very confused as to what I've done here. What have I done here? A big mess of all of this somehow. But the point was that I'd also done this bit. Can I just do this, please? I don't know who I'm asking. Me, I suppose. Oops, no, don't do that. Right, let's move you into another track. Oh, is that now? Wait, what? Is that now? Yeah, that's the point, is that I've done two versions of it. One is a lower down version and one is a higher up version. I just don't know which one sounds better. Quite like this lower down version. What on earth is going on here? Right, I think when I moved something, I've messed something up. Big time. So I'm gonna reset everything. Is that as far as back as I can go? So we've now got that bit there again, and then we've got this bit here. Yeah, that's supposed to be there. Okay. Right, let's try again. Sorry about this. This is definitely silly season, I think. When it comes to me messing stuff up. Messing around. Okay. We don't want to replace that bit. We want to add... Right. We want to switch this piece and this piece around. So that's what we're going to do. There's this tool in here that I never use. This one. How do I use it? Do I do it? Okay, like this. It's a way of selecting. Is that right? Is that what I want? That seems good. Okay, we're going to move that out the way. Over there, please. Okay. Then we are going to... Right, we'll do the same again. We're going to select this section. I think that's right, is it? Yeah. Going to move that there. And we're going to grab this. It's easier to do that, isn't it? I don't know what that's about. It's everything. Yeah. And we're going to slot that back into there. It should fit. Right. Right, let's just see if that's done what I think it's supposed to have done. Well, there's some rogue saxophone there. Right. Right, that's right. That's correct. That's okay, let's select this lot instead. Right, we're back to where we were, but now everything's not overlapping in the way that it shouldn't have been before. So what I'm doing is just turning on all of these pieces. Oh, God. There we go. You'd think by now, after all the years I've been doing this, I know what I'm doing on this program. Send that back to the right. So yeah, that's one way to do it, but I think it just sounds better with the sax doing that, doesn't it? So I think we will find the sax part that went along with that bit, which is probably this bit. Depends what the guitar's doing. Right, so one guitar we're going to switch back to. Excuse me. I'm going to turn the lane off for that. I haven't worked all this out yet. This is just arranging, really. So yeah, we want that there. If we replace this part here with this part here, we've got. So. Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. It's got the ba-ba-ba-ba-ba bit. Okay. So what I might have done is messed up the start and the finish of those bits. So this is the piece I'm looking for, basically. That's what all that was about. So here is a handy little tip as well. When you're moving things, get things lined up with a grid so you can plonk them back into place a little bit easier. So if we go to here, I believe it's this gap. I believe it would be this grid line to line it up. Weirdly. because it's got a note, a leading note into it. So it's a bit tight. It's gonna, if playing that's gonna be hard. Yeah, that's gonna have to be ironed a bit because that is clunky. That's gonna be clunky. I could do that. That might kind of help a little. But it's still a bit clunky. And that there. Okay. Okay. Right. Unsolo. See what we've got here now. I'm definitely muddling myself up a bit. Oh, that's not right, is it? Oh, but maybe this bass bit. Maybe what we can do is delete that one. Plunk that one over the top. And we want hang on, where was that? Yeah, duplicate that. Move it to there. I do like the ending. I like how it harks back to the very first. And it's just it's quite a strong feeling to it. I wonder if I should go back and simplify the bass bit to kind of match it, but nah, I think it's fine. Other things I'm finding stupid is this melodic part here. It just doesn't feel right. It's not the right sort of tone for the song. I'm going to have a think about it because I don't really know what to do about it. I've tried other instruments. I've tried everything, and I'm wondering if that part even just. What if we just have the mandolin? What if you just have the mandolin? Do you know what I think the wrong thing is? I think I've got the wrong rhythm. I think I've got it... Look at where the parts are coming in. I think this should come in there. And that's the same as this part, I think. Let's bring this down. And I think this is what's the big problem with this bit is that I think the rhythms are kind of jarring against what this guitar is doing. Yeah, look. Does this sort itself out? Kind of sorts itself out in the glockenspiel, so I'm not too worried about that. But in this bit, it doesn't feel right. Okay, where does it repeat? It's just that, isn't it? It's just that is the section. And delete the rest. And all I kind of want to do is that. Ooh. What? Oh god, here we go again. No, the dog isn't lying on the other keyboard. What? So what I want to do is no, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Oh. Ooh, because of that. Why was that happening? Why was that even on? Okay, let's see what this sounds like. Oh, shush, mandolin. No, keep that. Sorry, shush mandolin. I need this over here somewhere. That actually seems to fit a lot better. I don't even think it's jarring with this part, even though it's coming in like a bar later. It kind of is working. Let's try variant though. What if it's like... What if it's that? What if it's that? It's more complicated, I know. That feels more natural, doesn't it? Oh, do you know what that... I think I've solved it. I think I've solved it. Now the question is, what instrument do we play it on? Do we go back to the guitar? Or do we go back to this weird instrument, which I still have right here, so I could... But I didn't like the quality of it, so no, I don't think we will go back to that. Could do it on an electric, but then that would kind of take away the feel, the organic feel of this as well. What other thing have I got that we could do it on? I've got a little xylophone, but then we got the glockenspiel going, so that's no good. Got an automaton, but that's an awful sounding creature. I've got the 12 string. Got the 12 string. I could work out the chords, but then the chords haven't really been doing a lot of good, really, have they? But that might have been because the strumming pattern was so off. Because it was. So, but I've got the 12 string. I could pick this melody on, couldn't I? So yeah, let's give that a go. Let's just grab the 12 string now. Bear with me a second. Okay. 12 string procured. And now we've got to see if it is in tune. I doubt it very much. It's about as far from in tune as you can get. These two are not too bad. That is. This is a prime example of what I was talking about with the mandolin on the last episode. You get that, it's the same double thing. So you play it as if it's got 6 strings, but it's actually got 12, and it sounds bloody horrible if you get it wrong. So right, I'm just going to stop the recording to tune, because you don't need to sit through that, and then I may just record it in then, and then we'll play it back after I've done it. Be with you very shortly. Okay. Oh, there we go. Sorry, microphone's still pointing at where the guitar was. Here we go. So I've done that. I did a little re-record. Turn that off. There we go. And don't know what it sounds like. Let's find out. So this is 12 string, vaguely tuned. I did a bit of a lead into it. I didn't actually need that much. I just wanted to catch up with where it was starting properly, which is this bar here, really. There we go, extra sound effects just for you. Let's mute that there. Okay. That's pretty nice. I feel like it should continue to at least to there. So let's give it a couple more goes. At least to where the bass ends, which is here. Flute leads into that as well. But I haven't gone through the... Right, we don't need any of those. They can all be consigned to the dustbin. The plums. Oh, God, that's in my head. I really should not do that. What am I looking for? Remove tracks. Yes, I do want to do that. But do warn me again in case I do it. What's improvised guitar? Why is that even there? Okay, let's get rid of that. It's got nothing in it. We've got lots of sax. And then we've got different flute takes here. So these are all kind of improvised. Let's just listen to them one by one and pick a good one, or a combination of a couple of good ones. Well, first of all, we don't need that. Let's just chop off the beginnings where I'm sort of adjusting my position and getting ready. There we go. That one's trying to play much more closely to what I wrote, but I think it just sounds way better when I'm kind of deviating from that. I think basically the further we go, the more it deviates from the original sort of thing. But it definitely sounds a lot better than the original recording, when on a day that I was just, my flute playing was just sort of a disgrace, I should say. I would say a disgrace. I think my teacher would say a disgrace as well, maybe. And I don't know if he would. So I've got a great teacher. So my lessons have become few and far between nowadays, because I haven't got very much money, and I'd dearly love to keep up with them, but it's difficult. And I think flute is where I really need the tuition at the moment. So he's my sax teacher, but also he plays flute, so he can teach me flute as well. He's a really brilliant teacher. If you wanted to learn how to play sax or flute or other woodwinds, clarinet, I'd highly recommend you go with him. His name is Ian East, and he plays with one of my favourite bands, which is Gong, and you can catch them on tour quite a lot, although I think they're having a break soon. Next, I think catch them when you can. They're brilliant. But yes, hoping to improve my flute playing more than anything else at the moment. My sax playing is like, I think I'm on a trajectory where I can kind of like manage myself. I know where I'm going wrong. I know what I need to do to improve where I'm going wrong. I just need to actually work at it to do it. Whereas flute, I don't really know why sometimes it sounds crap and sometimes it sounds good. Sorry, I'm just pouring myself another Vimto. I have a huge 3-litre bottle of water that I keep on my desk, and a 2-litre bottle of Vimto cordial, which I also keep on my desk, and keep topping myself up. It's a sugar-free version. Whoops. I can't tell the difference, so may as well go sugar-free if you can, right? So, okay. So here is the second take of flute. So you can hear with that one, I kind of started off doing what I was supposed to do, and then started improvising halfway through. And as soon as it started improvising, it came alive. I think it kind of felt a bit dead in the water before that happened, and then when it did, it kind of felt like, I don't know, birds flying, flock of birds coming out of the trees just before the camera pans up over them and reveals whatever the hell the saxophone is doing. I often think of myself as not having a visual brain, but I think I don't think it's necessarily that. I think the visuals are triggered. It's not like I can see a really clear picture of this happening in my head. It's like this vagary, there's like this vagary in my head of these things happening, of motion happening, of memories of maybe camera shots from movies. I don't know where these sights and visions are coming from, but I've certainly never flown over a canopy of trees before, so I must have come from somewhere. But yes, sounds often trigger images in my head. Sometimes they kind of sound related to the sound, and sometimes they don't. That's kind of what that made me feel like. Anyway, so right, next one. Nothing really excited me about that one, or the first one actually. So those two can be sent into the void, leaving us with 4 options instead of 6. Great. Just to point out, did you hear the clarity of part of that coming through there? Like on this particular blob, that's the sound I'm looking for on the flute. It doesn't. You can't hear it on this one. Here's the comparison. It's kind of like a little bit more muffled. It's got a bit of heaviness to it, but this has got. I don't know if you can hear that edge to it. It's got this kind of like crystally edge to it. Anyway. That note there blended very nicely in. The rest, nothing really inspiring in that. I'm going to delete it. I know I played that with clarity, but like when I re-record it, they'll all be like that with any luck. And hopefully in tune as well, and like that last note. So that bit to that bit I thought was good. So off with that bit. Let's listen to this bit again because I got distracted by the previous bits. Right, the rest of it's not terrible either. I'll leave that in. We'll listen to the final one. That's quite nice. Okay, the first bit was good. Second bit was not. Third bit left a bit to desire. Let's listen to this one again. This is just for the demo, so I'm probably going overboard here. Probably don't need to do this. But when you have to listen to it 100 times, because you want to make sure everything's right, you kind of want to get things like this nice. So it's just not completely irritating you all the time. Which it often is. I'm trying to get them all at relatively the same volume. That'll do. I think that's the take. So one listen through that. Nice. I'm pleased with that. I like what I've done with the saxes here as well. I think it gives this bit a really nice atmosphere. I like the glockenspiel going through here. I like this fading out over it. So yeah, I can hear things like that. So you'd like you do kind of whisper on that bit, and then like more aggressive when it. Could that have words on it? By you do bam bam bam. I don't know what words. Well, how many syllables is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What could I say that has 6 syllables? The first line of a haiku and the next syllable of the next line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I'm really pleased with how smooth that is. Like, so we're going from like a weird. For a weird 19/8 time signature to 4/4 without you really noticing. That's the goal, isn't it? You don't want to know. You don't really want people to know you're in a weird time signature because they should feel it, but they shouldn't know it. It's kind of how I see it. It's like, don't like weird time signatures for the sake of weird time signatures, but if the riff comes out as that, then You shouldn't change it to be simple either. And that's what happened here. Was I wrote that little riff, and then when I came to program it in, it's like, oh crap, it's in 19. Or maybe it's in a division of, maybe it's 11 and 8. I don't know. But then it kind of transitions really nicely into the 4/4 through several different signatures of varying descriptions. Excuse me. And do you know what? I think other than the vocals, I think we're there. I think we've got a song. In which case, next time we it might have some vocals on it, basically. I might sit down, write some vocals and see where they end up, if they end up. And maybe an instrumental, I don't know. But next time we'll have one final look at this song, and then we'll move on to Pastures New. I've got an idea. I've got that acoustic thing I recorded. I don't know if you scroll back through my videos, or I think it might be on the shorts tab. Which is not because I wear shorts, it's because it's not as long. But take that as you will. But yes, there's an acoustic number that I'm thinking of, like maybe it'll just be that long, like a 2-minute interlude or something like that, which would be nice. I haven't written many short songs, so I'm kind of like in my head, I'm like, let's do a few short ones just to vary it up a bit and challenge myself, essentially. As you can see, I like things to build up. I like things to gradually change, but maybe I should focus on just like 1 or 2 decent sounding riffs and just make a whole song out of it, and see what happens. Who knows? Would it be prog? Who knows? Could I call it Rob Makes Prog if it's not prog? What makes prog? Who knows? It's all a nonsense, really, isn't it? It's all music. Music is music, and that's what I'm interested in. It just so happens that a lot of what I'm interested in ends up fitting into categories that people like to term prog. So do I. It's easier to call it prog than anything else, and I'm happy with it. And I love things that are deemed prog by other people as well, and things that are deemed prog by me. And prog to me is 2 things, actually. One is progressing music in further in directions that it has previously. Well, it's reaching further. It's the branches of the tree growing past the original sphere of its crown, if that makes sense. That's progressing things in different directions. It can go in any direction, and there can be many branches from those branches, and they branch out and out and out and out. That's fine. And then there's prog the genre, which is when people say things like, prog must have keyboards in it, it must be complicated, it must have classical influences, it must fit all of these criteria. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in pushing myself, pushing my music in directions that I've never pushed it before. Other people might have, sure. It's very difficult to push in a direction people haven't gone before without ending up with really not, I don't know, with there's a lot of music. The further you push something, the less away from harmonious center it becomes, I think. And that's not a bad thing at all, but it makes things harder and harder to listen to. And I don't really enjoy noise for the sake of like, do you know what I mean? It's like I do enjoy it, actually. but I don't when I'm writing, I like tunes, I like melody, I like things that you could sing along to and whistle along to. It doesn't necessarily have to be commercial, and it could be really, really strange, but I don't. But I think the further out from the tree trunk, okay. Before we end, I'm just gonna kind of talk through this. I'm kind of explaining it to myself as well as you. So you've got the tree trunk, right? That to me is the octave. That's an octave. The main bass, the roots of the tree trunk are the octave, and that's because if you get a piece of string and you pluck it, and it sounds, and it's a C, and then you half that string, it becomes an octave of that C. If you half that string again, it's another octave. And so on and so on and so on. And like that's the most harmonious thing you can have is an octave, essentially. And then if you quarter that string, you get further divisions, and that's kind of like the basics of harmony and things that people have discovered through maths and experimentation. And our tempered scale doesn't necessarily fit it very well anymore, and we've kind of like retuned it all a bit. But it's really, really interesting. I advise you to have a look into it. And I think the further we branch away from stuff, the less we have that the more we move away from that harmony, and the more discordant things become, and the more alien it is, and also the more extreme things become. Like you can keep pushing metal in directions, but like most of those directions are going to be extreme, and until you've hit kind of like the pinnacle of the extremities, and then you have to go and find other things, and then metal has to branch out in other directions and be less extreme and start incorporating things from other branches of trees. But it's very difficult to kind of move out of a genre once you're in a genre, and I think that's where prog is interesting for me, is that it's never had one sort of center. It's always had many influences being poured into it all at once, and can go out in any direction, and that's what's exciting to me. Different rhythms from different cultures, different ideas from different musical backgrounds. Not homogenizing, but sort of coalescing, I guess, and mixing and contrasting, and that's all that's really interesting to me, really. Anyway, that's enough of me talking nonsense. Everything I say is purely a random string of thoughts from my own head, and has not been thought through at all, really. So take it as you will. Disagree with it if you like. I do not mind at all. And thank you for joining me, and I will see you again on the next episode of Rob Makes Prog.